Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. I've got birthday boy Dave with me, Spurs fan, 70 years old, Dave. Many happy returns. Dave, we were going to do this video last week, but of course, you know, your birthday was the day after the North London derby.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't the right time to do it, but we're going to talk about your time as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, why you support Spurs, and throughout your 70 years, how many trophies that you've seen us lift. Now, of course, Dave, you were born in 1951. That was a very special year for Spurs, wasn't it?
I know. I mean, it was written in the stars, wasn't it? That was the year we first won the league championship. So I obviously didn't know much about it at the time, but that was a good year to be born, I think. And 10 years later, we did the double. So the trouble is, when you're 10 years old, you expect to win the double every year.
That must have been a very special time, though, Dave. 10 years old, Tottenham do the double.
Yeah.
As you say, you must have expected it to come round quite often.
Well, I did, because, you know, when you're young, you expect to... I mean, the team down the road doing so great, and you know, you just expect the trophies to keep coming, and well, we won the silverware, we won the cup in '62, so you know that we did have, you know, and year 3 was the European Cup Winners' Cup, so you know, from those years we did continue, yeah, so. But it, you know, it wasn't the league, but it was near enough. It was near enough. We got runners up and hit to the post a couple of times. But yeah, the thing is, when you're young and well, you know, 10 and 11 years old, it is special. You just think these things are going to carry on. It's only as you get older you realise that they don't, unfortunately. But it was great while it lasted.
Dave, a fantastic comment here from Mark, and I completely agree. Happy birthday, Dave. You're a lot more famous than Chris Cowlin.
Well,
I think that's true.
Yeah, well, I think I was having a laugh there, but yeah, it's no, it's really good. Really
Dave,
good.
take me back to your first ever game when you saw Tottenham play. When was it, and who was it against?
I did have a look back, actually. I did try and I can't remember much about the game. But I was living in Edmonton at the time, moved to Edmonton in 1957, and the boys down the road in those days, they used to get me. I was one of the younger ones because I was only 9. The first game, I think, it's been a bit difficult because it's a bit foggy, obviously. 2nd of April 1960. Against Luton Town. I can't remember much about the game, but I remember going right down the railings right at the front, because we used to have these little railings at Spurs at the time where they used to pass you down, you know, and push you, you know, to the front, because obviously I was a bit shorter in them days. And we used to all go on the bus from Edmonton down the High Street and change buses and get on and get off and at Tottenham, and we go in the boys' entrance for about 6pence, and that was it. You know, that was obviously on a Saturday afternoon. That was all 3 o'clock kickoffs in them days. I don't think from memory I weren't allowed out for evening games, you know, but. I think in that year I was just about 9 years old, and yeah, I think I saw 3. I've just been looking back at the facts and figures, and I think I went to 3 games in the 59-60 season, and I think for the 60-61 I did. Let's have a look. 14 games. 14 games of the double year. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to Wembley. I didn't go to Wembley until 1981, actually, but because I couldn't get a ticket. But yeah, that's about the earliest I can remember. I can't remember much about the game, but I think that was the first one. But I say all the we used to go as a group. You know, I think there was a couple of boys up the top of the road, and about 4 or 5 of us used to go.
Andy writes on screen now, the transport was better then.
It was, yeah. It was cheaper, and most of the time you bunked it anyway. But yeah. But
Dave, why did you start supporting Tottenham? Why Spurs for you?
Well, I was born, well, as you say, 51, and I lived at Honest Grove in New Southgate when where I was growing up, and we moved in 57 to Edmonton because we had a flat in Honest Grove, and then Waterfall Road, and then we moved down to Edmonton. We had a 3-bedroom house there, and of course Spurs are basically, as you know, it was before all the Great Cambridge. We were a road off, I think it's Pasture Gardens, off of that. You go down Pasture Gardens, the Great Cambridge Road, and then across, and basically Spurs are about 3 miles away. So there you had the famous Tottenham just down the road. But obviously at that age you don't really realise what you've got on your doorstep. But yeah, that was the reason. And once you start supporting a club, you're there for life, aren't you? If you're serious and passionate about it, you get the bug, don't you? So
Dave, just sorry to interrupt you there. Ed M has just given you €10 to buy you a couple of drinks and says happy 70th birthday, Dave.
Oh, thanks, Ed. Cheers.
Very nice of you, Ed. Thank you very much.
Very nice of you.
Dave, what I want to know is how many cup finals have you been to in your 70 years?
Yeah, I was trying to work that out. I mean, do replays count?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, I think the first cup final, because I couldn't get a ticket until 1971, the League Cup final against Aston Villa 2-0. That was the first one. Although I'd been to Wembley for the World Cup in '66, I saw all those England games. I've been to Wembley before, but I hadn't seen Spurs there till 1971. So totting it up, I went to 71 League Cup final. I couldn't get a ticket for the 73. I went to both the games in '81, so that's 3 there, and 2, both the game and the replay for the QPR game in '82. And then I had a gap then because I couldn't get tickets until 2015 for the one we lost. Because obviously we won all that, we kept winning until we lost at '87, and I didn't get a ticket for 91. But so Tottenham up as 1, 5, 6, and 7 if you count the Champions League final. So 7 finals, and the last 2 we've lost, and the first 2 replays, and so I've seen them lift the trophy 3 times, 2, yeah. So in person, if you like.
Do you know, Dave? I've got to say, you mentioned that Champions League final, and I'm laughing here because obviously there was my dad and my son Harry and you staying in this apartment, and you went home a few days earlier than us. You went home the next day, and I'll never ever forget that moment of you going through and getting your suitcase caught. I just don't know how you did it.
No, I managed to get caught in the barriers, didn't I? At the tube station. Good job you came down to see me off, because I don't know. I mean, there was all of us trying to get this suitcase out of the barrier. It was stuck in between 2 things, wasn't it? And you said only you could have done that.
If I give you a challenge to do that, you'd never have done it in a million years. I just don't know how you did it.
No, I still don't know how to do it. You know why? Because you took us down to the Bernabeu, hadn't you? You said, have you been to Real Madrid's ground? And I said, no, I haven't. and so we went to the Bernabeu, and you saw me off from there, didn't you?
It was a bad idea, actually. We just lost the Champions League final, and then we go to the Bernabeu and then just see all of these Champions League trophies. It was like, talk about rub it in.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was like that in Barcelona when we went to the Barcelona trophy room, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that was bad enough, wasn't it? I mean, seeing all those polished silverware in there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could spend all day in there looking at all the records and the games and the programs and all that. So, yeah, it's an eye opener. It is an eye opener.
We've got a question here from G-Mart. Thank you very much for your question for Dave. Dave, after 70 years, what's your all-time starting 11 over the years?
Well, I'm going to probably go back to the 60s on quite a few of those because, you know, Pat Jennings, I mean, the back 4 or 5 used to be the same for about 3 or 4 years back then. Jennings, Kinnear, Knowles, Murray, England, Mackay. I'm not saying that they're my favourites, but 4 or 5 of those would be. I mean, Pat Jennings is outstanding goalkeeper. He used to get the ball down with one hand, and I mean, Joe Kinnear and Cyril Knowles, fantastic fullbacks. I mean, they used to get ball forward, especially Cyber. He used to have a lovely free kick into the corners. So, you know, that's when the nice one Cyril used to come along because, you know, he used to do these lovely free kicks. He had a lovely left foot. And, yeah, Mike England, a fantastic centre half. Of course, Dave Mackay. You know, what a warrior he is or was. Yeah, Jimmy Greaves. I mean, I've got to say Harry Kane to get in my team now. Gareth Bale in his pomp. Yeah. So how many? I don't know how many I've got. You want a couple of John White for inside forward. Yeah. So I've probably got quite a few there.
Dave, if I said to you pick a 5-a-side all-time Spurs team, who would be your 5, you know, favourite all-time players?
Yeah, well, Pat Jennings, Jimmy Greaves. I'd probably have Harry Kane now, and I'd have John White. And Steve Perriman's got to be in there because I think he epitomised Spurs for he was Spurs through and through. You cut him open, he'd be blue and white. And I saw his first game in '69 when we lost 1-0 at home to Sunderland, and he didn't have a very good game. He nearly messed it up, nearly gave away a goal, and I just thought that you know, he is one for the future because he used to play number 8. He used to be sort of inside forward in them days before but he never scored many goals as he got to against AC Milan in the UEFA League semi-final. It's out of the blue, really, but yeah, I'm wearing the best shirt I've ever had, and this one is the one I like. This is back from the 70s, about 75. 76 this one yeah, when I used to take my wife to the football. This is the one she liked. She liked a little player called Neil McNabb, who came from Scotland, and I think he was only about 45,000, but him and Glenn Hoddle broke into the team at the same time. So I've always had a little affinity really with wearing this shirt. So no, it's not the same one as I had all them years ago, but
no,
it's been a remake. But yeah.
Dave, over the years, you must have collected, you know, a fair bit of memorabilia. What's your favourite piece of memorabilia that you've collected over the years?
Well, I've got programs, but not as many as you have, Chris. Memorabilia, there was, I mean, in those days there wasn't too much. I mean, there weren't shirts and all this, that and the other. And I've really been one for collecting stuff, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously take the programs and stuff, and there they do flags and what's not. I mean, I've got some, well, more recently, I suppose I've got a tankard here that somebody bought me. I've got it here if you wanna, if you've got a minute. I've got the logo there. I don't know if you've seen this one, Chris, but this is a nice bit of memorabilia.
Looks like a trophy, Dave.
It does look like a trophy. It says on it, I don't know if you can read it. I'll read it out to you. Hold on a minute. I'll get the glasses on.
You should be drinking your beer out of that.
Yeah, I should be, shouldn't I? I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, Tottenham Hotspur League Champions 60-61. It's got the it's got all the players there. It's got the team 1 to 11 on there. So that is a bit of memorabilia, and I should be drinking out of it. But to be honest with you, I haven't christened. I suppose I'm waiting for another next championship to christen that. You know,
it's so weird how you say, how you just said, not using it, because whenever anyone buys me anything Spurs wise, it just goes in a drawer or away in my collection in pristine condition and unused. I never use any of this stuff, which is probably a big shame.
Well, I wasn't say I did have a lot more, but I've given them all to you, so. So you're not getting your hands on this one.
No.
You haven't seen that. I know. I'll show it to you when the lockdown's over.
Now, I was just about to ask this very question, and Jay Pearson 568 writes, Dave, after so many years of supporting Spurs, what is your favourite, your most memorable winning game?
Well,
winning game.
I did get a few ready for you, but I suppose the most exciting one, I've got to say, I mean, it's got to be the 1981 final with when we beat Manchester City 3-2 in the final. I've looked up the date. It was I think the 14th of May, 1981. And we had we played them on the Saturday, drew 1-1. I went to that game. We played rubbish. Ricky Villa come off, and we got a very lucky. I mean, I think it was Kevin Rees for them, scored a lovely goal, and we got lucky because Hoddle took a free kick and it went in off the bloke who scored for them, went in off his shoulder. I don't know if you've seen, I know it's before your time, Chris, but have you ever seen that game? The first game? Oh, you've re-watched it, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it went in off his shoulder, and really, it was a stroke of. We did get away with one there because we didn't turn up, and say Villa got substituted, and nobody thought he would play in the second one. But I mean, for full marks to the boys, we went behind in the next game as well in the replay, and well, we all know what happened. But I think what it was, why that game was so memorable, is if people, been to the first one and getting to a final. We hadn't been to a final since 67, 14 years. I know we're talking about 13 years now, but we haven't been to an FA Cup final for 14 years, and which is only usual for Spurs. And I think that one is the most memorable one. The Ajax one I was going to put at number 2 because we were there for that 3-2 in Amsterdam, would be Chris, but I put that one as my most because of the way it transpired, because we didn't we didn't turn up in the first game really, and really we got another chance with replays in them days. Now everything's in it. Hurry up. There's no chance, no time for replays or even. It's just extra time and everything now, isn't it? Penalties, which they didn't have in them days.
Every time I see that Ajax game played back, though, Dave, I still can't believe that I was there. What a game!
I remember talking to you at half time. We were so fed up, weren't we?
Yeah.
2-0 down, 3-0 down aggregate. And we're thinking, well, we got to sit through. It's murder, because they nearly scored. How many shots did they have this whistle past the post in that game? And their fans were really noisy, really up for it. There was a noise in that stadium. It's fantastic.
Dave, Noel writes on screen now, the lowest point, losing 5-0 to Manchester City in 1977, confirming relegation to the second division. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was a low point, very low point. I haven't been on to remember the low points. There's been disappointments along the way, obviously, quite a few of them, but you don't like to dwell on them, do you? I mean, going in the second division, I was going to pick a game out. That Chris asked me to pick another game out that we stayed up 2 years before, year before, 74-75. We beat Leeds 4-2, and the crowds were pretty low in them days. I think I spoke to you, Chris, about the other day that there was only 20,000, 18,000. People today would not realise that. Those crowds, and looking back, and you just go in there and you used to pick your spot. You didn't have to worry about the crowds in them days so much in the mid to late mid 70s. So it was a low point, but we bounced back, didn't we?
Dave, Dean writes here, happy birthday. What was it like supporting a title-winning double team? That must have been great.
It was great, and like I said, you felt on top of the world because everyone was talking about Tottenham, newspapers, media, everything was about Spurs, and everyone knew every player and the 1 to 11. And they just gelled and winning the first 11 matches, and everything clicked really. I say you just went down there expecting to win every week, and it's just a lovely feeling. Scoring loads of goals. I think they scored 115 goals that year. So it really, goals scoring for fun really. You just try and outscore the opposition, but. Yeah, when you're growing up having those sort of experiences, it does take you really. You take it for granted, if you like. But reality does kick in down the line, doesn't it?
Dave, you're getting lots of birthday messages in here. Loads of people are sending their best wishes. Sean writes here, a bit of a joke. Is that the only top you have, Dave? Because I think you've worn this top on every video lately.
Well, it was a lucky one, although I didn't wear it for the other 2 times. And I thought, well, I will wear it tonight because I will have a change round next time if I'm invited on. I will put another one on.
If I'm invited on.
If I'm invited on, I'll stick another one on next time. But
we have all the legends on this channel, Dave. Virtual Hub are coming in now as well.
Virtual Hub, yeah.
Dave, talk to me about your favourite shirts. I know you said about this one you're wearing is your favourite shirt, but any other favourite shirts throughout your time supporting Tottenham?
I'd quite like the ordinary. I like the traditional shirt the 60, you know, 61 with the little crest and the old-fashioned crest with the just the white on it with nothing else, plain white, because obviously years ago there was no adverts on the shirts. But I mean, there's been Holston. The Holston one was a good one when we was advertising the beer companies. I'm trying to think of another one I've got. I won't go and get it to remind myself, but to be honest with you, I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to shirts, and just like the old-fashioned ones, if you like. And I used to like the old blue. We used to play blue away sometimes, just the blue and the white cockerel. I quite like those. I never was a favourite of the yellow ones they used to wear, because they used to remind me of a certain club up the road. So I never used to like them turning out in those. But yeah, that's about it really. I'm not really one on for lots of fancy shirts, really, to be honest with you. I know it's become the norm to have a different shirt every year, but it's not something that really appeals to me, to be honest with you.
Pete writes here, Dave, you look like a Spurs legend in that shirt. You wear it well. And Pickleman writes, well played, Dave. Stay young and up the Spurs.
Yeah,
and,
well done.
Another comment coming in here from Paul. Do you remember the Aston Villa game? 5-1 up at half time.
I do. Tony Haitley, I think, got 4 goals for Villa. We were 5-1 up at half time. Yeah, I remember that. Tony Haitley, and I think they nearly beat us 6-5 as well. It was really an forgettable game from our point of view. How can you draw, 5-1 up? You expecting to go up with 10, and
so
then
we still had these sorts of moments years ago. Then,
yeah, of course we did. I remember going to when we won. We drew with Burnley as well. I think there was another game where we were about 5 up and drew. I'm trying to remember the actual date, but I remember that with Villa. That was Tony Haitley. I think he got 4 goals in that in the second half, and I say he nearly, I think, hit the bar or something, and it was nearly 6-5 because they were kicking down the Paxton Road end, and yeah, it was. Yeah, just try and look away now, really, moment.
Dave, how would you describe the 90s supporting Spurs?
Very grim, I would say. It was a very barren time. It was a very barren time, to be honest with you. I was bringing up the family as well, so I wasn't. I didn't go every week, I must admit. It was a bit of a barren time, to be honest with you. We were just mediocre, sort of finishing mid-table all the time. There was just no spark. The managers and yeah, it was just. I preferred the 80s. I say, but the 90s, it was a lot of it was forgettable with Christian Gross and all that stuff going in, and at what a low point. I mean, Sugar did a good job with getting Klinsmann, as one of your favourites, I know, but I read his book, and it's very interesting the way Klinsmann came. But I mean, the 90s. We had the famous 5, didn't we? In those with the forward line with under our dealers on that. But yeah, we're more missed than hit. I mean, we did, Ginola, and it was entertaining. I'll say it was entertaining, but it wasn't one for the purists really, because certain other teams were doing a lot better than us, and we were the fall guys, it seems.
Dave, Craig, who of course is a regular on this channel, writes happy birthday, Dave. White Hart Payne, Gary, who was on the channel the other day, happy birthday, Big Dave. You know, do check out White Hart Payne's YouTube channel and subscribe. Gary's a top guy. Guy writes here, happy birthday, Dave. At least it's a stress-free weekend as Tottenham are not playing, Dave.
It is a stress-free weekend. But you live the highs and the lows with sporting Tottenham. You can't, you know, you've got to be there all the way. Yeah, you get fed up, obviously, you know, you lose and all the rest of it. But, you know, that's part and parcel. If you're supporting a team, you've got to support through thick and thin. There's a lot of other clubs who haven't done anywhere near what we've done. And they've done like, you know, people like who are supporting Newcastle. I mean, they haven't won anything since the Fairs Cup in '69. I mean, it's terrible, really. You think of the support that those people give to Newcastle, and they become a bit of a yo-yo club. But I mean, supporting Tottenham is, you know, we have picked up in the last 10 years. There's no doubt about it. And there's a lot more people supporting Spurs than there ever used to be, because I've got to a point where no one would want to go with me. You know, it was I used to go on my own I told Chris this, that I used to go on my own for many years, because I mean, then my daughter came, and then she gave up, and I was just to go on my own. But over the last, you know, waiting for season ticket and all the rest of it, and then getting in, and you know, but yeah, I mean, a lot more people are supporting Spurs, and I think they will. Well, it's become worldwide now, isn't it? With the internet and everything. So
yeah,
it's who you are. I mean, there's probably people out there supporting us who've never been to the ground, you know, never seen Spurs play. You know, it's you know, unheard of, really. But there you go.
Dave, one player or manager that you would like to have shared a pint with?
Bill Nicholson, I think, for that one. Bill was, I think he weren't the easiest person to get along with by all accounts, but he knew his football, and he you know, he treated everybody the same. I thought, you know, what you read and everything, I'd love to have had a pint and a chat with him to see what he really thought, because he was a man of few words, if you like. He never praised players, or, you know, he never put the boot in either. He was more, he kept that off, you know, in the dressing room. And you know, in the Spurs won, you know, he won the first game. He managed them 10-4 against Everton, and I don't think he got carried away even for that. And he probably moaning about the 4 goals we conceded.
If you could have a pint and a chat with Jose Mourinho, what would you ask him? Well,
I mean, that'd be a long chat, that would, because I'd say, well, what are you doing to our team? What are you doing to our club with playing this way, this negative football, you know, pragmatic stuff? Yeah, people will put up with it for a little while, winning ugly, but you just can't. If the wheels come off, you can't just carry on playing like that. And it's been a frustrating time watching Spurs since Mourinho's taken over. I know we've had the pandemic in between, but yeah, it hasn't been pretty. And he did let the dogs loose 2 or 3 times recently, up until the last few games. We were winning 4s and 5s, haven't we? Scored 100 goals this year. And I thought, well, perhaps he has changed, you know, but we've gone back to his old self again. So I would take into account on that, and I'd ask him the question, but would I get a proper answer? Probably not. So yeah, he's a pragmatist, you know, and he might win us a cup final. Yeah, I mean, if he wins us a League Cup final, then and we finish 4th, we've had a decent season, I suppose. I mean, we kept finishing in the top 4, and the fans were saying, well, we'd sooner finish outside the top 4 and win a trophy. So you're going to get be careful what you wish for.
Do you see the trophies coming though, Dave, under Jose? But the League Cup final, how confident are you of Tottenham winning this this Carabao Cup in less than a month's time now?
Well, it's a one-off game, and I think you've got to treat it as such. We had the Indians on over Man City at home. We've done them a few times. They've been unlucky. They've missed penalties. They haven't scored at our new stadium yet, and they've had 2 penalties saved. And I think they are a little bit wary of us. And I thought if we get an early goal, we could shake them up a bit. But I think the first goal is going to be all important, as they always are. And it's doable, but I don't think it'll be very watchable. I think it's going to be an ugly game, to be honest with you. I think we're going to dig in, if we can dig in, and then we're going back to getting a goal on the break. So I can see a 1-0 there, but if they score, then we will get 2, etc. So. The first goal is going to be the most thing, but he's going to drill it into him. He's going to rest the players, and they are beatable. I mean, good job we didn't play him in February, because they would have wiped the floor with us. But by the time April comes round, they might have other bigger fish to fry, if you like. You know, Champions League stuff, and you don't know with injuries. So you know, I wouldn't put a fortune on Spurs winning it, but it's certainly. I mean, I've never been unconfident with Spurs winning. I'll never say, well, we haven't got a chance. No, I would say we've got a decent chance, got a chance as anybody else. And I mean, it's doable, and I think it will give everybody a lift. I think we can lift a trophy. You don't know what it's like. It's everybody, and you never know. There might be some fans in there as well. I know you're trying to creep in the back door there somewhere, Chris, but if anyone can get in, you can. So officially, but
I just want to see Tottenham lift trophies, Dave. I tell you, it's been too long. 13 years. Without Spurs lifting a trophy is just madness. And I believe that Tottenham can win it. And I know some people have said on this channel that they think I'm absolutely mad by saying that, but it's a 90-minute game.
It's a 90-minute game.
You got Jose Mourinho as your manager. You know, if you're going to put anyone in charge of a 90-minute game to get you over that line and win you a cup, then you know, if you can't do it with Jose, then what? Yeah.
Well, a serial winner and all this stuff. I mean, it's pedigree and everything. If anyone's going to get you off to win a match, then he's the one. They're going to do their homework. I mean, have they got any wing leagues? So they had the other day, they had £400 million worth of talent sitting on the bench. I mean, you're really asking a lot. But on the day, anything can happen. You know, somebody might be ill, or you know, you just don't know. You just don't know on a final. And really, we need to win a final to go on and win other games, because once again, you know, it's anything can happen on the day.
Dave, we've got a few questions for you here. Paul writes, you missed out our greatest ever player, Danny Blanchard.
I did.
What are your thoughts on him?
Oh yeah. Well, Danny was a fantastic player, and he came to Spurs when he was old in years. Well, I think he was about 29 when he came to Tottenham, but he was a fantastic player. Obviously, a crucial member of the double team, you know, what more can you say? He was Tottenham through and through, and you know, the stories about him and the words about the glory game, and it's all about glory and the finesse and success. You know, that is what the game's all about, and I think, you know, that's the messages around the ground, and I think that holds up. I mean, he was just for a chap who's come from Ireland and done. He was you know, one of our best players ever. No doubt about it.
Dave, Gary writes, who would you like as Tottenham manager?
Pochettino. Pochettino. I think he'll recharge his batteries. I could see him coming back to Tottenham, and I think it'll be a fan's favourite. I really do. I think he, in his back of his mind, I think he wants to come back. I really do. He didn't want to leave, and I think the PSG thing, he had to take something because he'd been out of the game for over a year. You don't want to get forgotten. Ex-player, it suited him. I mean, he can win trophies in France. I mean, it's basically a one-horse race there, isn't it, normally? Yeah, I'd like to see him do well in France and then come back to Tottenham. But I think he will. I really think. I think he will. I think he will come back, and I think the fans would love him to come back because he's got a lot of prestige. He's got a lot of credit in the tank. I know he didn't win anything, but I think he just need to go over that line.
I think the majority would be happy. I think that there are still a lot of people that probably wouldn't want him back. I certainly would love to see him back at Spurs one day. Dean writes here, do you think Lidy King will manage Spurs one day and be like a one-club man like Sir Bill Nicholson?
It's a possibility. Definitely, I wouldn't discount it. It's just that, he's untried. He'd have to go somewhere else and do his apprenticeship, if you like. Definitely, he would have to do his apprenticeship somewhere. I mean, we don't know anything about his ability as a manager. I mean, Bobby Moore was captain of England. He won everything, won the World Cup, but he was a useless. He just couldn't manage. He was a useless manager. He didn't do anything. He went from Southend and other clubs, and he never really did anything as manager. So just because you're a great player doesn't make you a great manager. I'd like to think Lidy King would get a shot at managing Spurs at one point, but I think he's going to have to do his apprenticeship and be perhaps a number two to somebody, say, or even Spurs, or somewhere down the lower order, down the lower leagues. So it's such a, you can't afford to lose many games as a manager. I mean, I know Mourinho had those five defeats in 6 games or whatever. I mean, a lot of managers wouldn't have lasted long at Chelsea with getting those sort of early figures, would he? Yeah. So it is more and more harder to get time, and I think that's all what managers need. They need time. Alex Ferguson needed 3 years at Man United before he got going. There's no way these days that managers are going to get 3 years without winning anything, and then turning the corner. So even though he came from a great pedigree at Aberdeen, so I'd like to see Lidy King have a go, but whether he'll be given the time and everything to do it remains to be seen.
Dave, a question here from Nick, both to Dave and Chris. Who are your favourite Spurs players ever? I think I've spoken many times about mine. Jurgen Klinsmann, Teddy Sheringham, 94-95 season, probably one of my favourite seasons. And of course, the football under Pochettino. But Heung-min Son is my favourite current player. Dave, for you?
Yeah, Jimmy Graves is, and I've always liked Alan Gilzean as well. Going back to the 60s. Dave Mackay, the current players, I like Sonny, obviously, and Harry Kane. I think the two favourite players at the moment who play for Tottenham. Let's say Pat Jennings, fantastic goalkeeper.
Who's your favourite ever manager, Dave? Bill Nicholson.
Bill Nicholson, yeah, won the 11 trophies.
If we took Bill Nicholson out of the equation, who's your favourite manager after that?
Okay, Bergenshaw, I suppose. He's visionary of bringing Dailies and Villa into the club. I mean, that was really that's what they called in the time scoop of the decade. You've got 2 World Cup winners coming to Spurs. We've just been promoted from the 2nd division to the 1st division, and there you are. You're getting World Cup winners coming to play for Spurs, and yeah, that was fantastic. I mean, somebody mentioned what the lowest point of my of watching Spurs. I went to Liverpool that year, the first season was 77, 70, 70, was it 70, 78, 79? In 78, we went up to Liverpool, and I took my wife as well. And went up with some Liverpool fans, went on the Liverpool train, so we didn't get accosted at the High Street, and ended up going in the Cop End and losing 7-0. So that was the lowest point of my Spurs, apart from that Champions League final. But that was the lowest point of my Spurs, watching Spurs, because Liverpool were absolutely unbelievable. Cowlin and all that, and they just toyed with us, really. That was horrible. And then you got the train back, going back. That was the lowest point. I think it's still that record defeat, although I suppose Bayern Munich was a home record defeat as well. But yeah, that was the lowest point, going up to Anfield and watching that. So
we do for our club, eh, Dave? So you're sitting in the top end watching Tottenham lose 7-0.
Well, yeah. In the end, they were chanting Tottenham. The Liverpool fan, I think they were about 5 or 6-0 down. They were chanting Tottenham just to give it for a laugh, really. But yeah, all standing obviously in them days, and the crowd just went down. It kept falling down forward every time there's a goal. Imagine, can't you? So no, not a nice watch.
David, a question here from Bobby from Bob Spur TV. So everyone do check out Bobby's channel as well. Who does Dave think the players from his early years would hold their own the most in today's game?
For the early years, I still think Dave Mackay and John White would hold their own. Jimmy Greaves. But the game is moved up a lot faster these days. You've never got Jimmy Greaves tackling back and all that. It wasn't his game. So it is a lot faster, all this closing down and pressing and everything. It's everything's on TV now, and it's very hard to compare eras, really. But those players were technically gifted. John White, Jimmy Greaves, Alan Gilzine, he was ahead of his time at the time, because he perfected the near post back header. With the corner and the throw-ins, he used to do the back header into the box. So they were great players, and I still think they would have done well in today's era, because they were crafty sort of players. They weren't players who were just went through the motions. They were crafty type players, and knew the game, and knew the passes. So I think they would definitely hold their own, definitely.
Dave, a question here from Noel. When George Best was having his problems with Manchester United, Noel was desperately hoping that with his friendship with Pat Jennings that he would sign for Spurs. Do you remember that time? Was there actually rumours going around then that George Best could sign for Spurs?
I never remember that rumour. No? I remember watching George Best play, but obviously at Spurs for Man United, but I don't remember that type of the first time I've heard that, to be honest with you. I don't think it was really in the, I don't think it was ever on the cards, and I can't remember that coming up, to be honest with you, at the time, because he retired when he was 26 in 73. George Best. I mean, 26 is ridiculous age. I mean, he started out when he was 17, but I mean, they had a fantastic forward line, Man United, in them days, in the middle 60s, when they used to come out in the old lane and the old West Stand, when they used to come out, and they also line up Lord Best, Charlton, and Willie Morgan, all along in a big long line. And then Man United, as many fans in the ground as Spurs did. And in them days, they used to lock the gates at 2 o'clock. No all-ticket games in them days. The gates were locked. Unless you got in early, you didn't get in, and there was thousands locked out, especially when Man United came in. Another great game was that 5-1 when we beat them 5-1 at Spurs. I think all the Spurs forward line scored that day, and then in the return they beat us 5-1 up there. So got their revenge. There was. I can't recall Joe Chris ever being voted as coming to Tottenham. I know he went to Fulham later on in his career, but that was just really from he was just messing around. They had Rodney Marsh, I think, and 2 or 3 other players who were, entertainers, if you like. I mean, Fulham used to be the entertainers. They had Tommy Trinder he was the chairman, and he was like entertainment. And I think the trouble with Fulham is there's always that musical joke, really, with going back over the years. I don't recall that ever being on the card.
Dave, a question here. Do you think that Dybala could fit in at Spurs?
Well, yeah. I mean, we had that after we got to the Champions League final and all that, and they thought Dybala was going to come to Tottenham under Pochettino, the Argentinians and everything, and everyone got excited, and then it all fell through, didn't it? I mean, he could do a job for Spurs, but it's a money angle. I mean, it was a money angle then, and I think the money's going to be even more tighter now. Spurs aren't going to be awash with cash. Let's face it, they've got the TV revenues, but you said on your videos, Chris, how much money Spurs have lost this year and last year, and how much they're going to lose this year. Yeah. I just dread to think what's going to happen at the end of this year. Where we're going to be, to be honest with you, on finances. I know everybody's in the same boat, but it's a bit of a worry.
Dave, Mr. K writes here, we need to win the Carabao Cup, #do it for Dave. And then Whiteheart Payne writes, we've got the Carabao Cup, the trophies are coming.
Oh, yeah, bloody good. They are coming.
Yeah.
They've been long overdue. Like I said, we waited 14 years for an FA Cup from 67 to 81. Then we got their car buses. I said to you, Chris, they came along twice. We got another one the next year. So, you expect to win cups. I mean, we got UEFA Cup. We won the League Cup in '73. I mean, you win them in batches. I think you win cups in batches. We have with Bill Nicholson. We had cups in year after year. They might have not been the same one, but yeah, it does become a habit to lift trophies and expect to lift trophies. But you've got to get that winning feeling. You've got to get that. We used to say that loving feeling, but we need the loving feeling and the winning feeling, I think.
Dave, Dean writes here, Kane or Greaves? Who's your favourite striker over the years?
I've got to say Jimmy Greaves. I'm sorry.
Do you think that Harry Kane will pass Jimmy Greaves' record?
If he stays, there's a good chance he will. If he stays, because he's on course to. I mean, he's only about 2 or 3 years away. Part of me said I hope he doesn't. But I think he's on course. I never thought Jimmy Greaves' record would anyone get near it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's looking like good.
He's only 100 away, Dave, now from Alan Shearer's Premier League record. Do you think he'll break that?
I think that'd be more difficult because don't forget he's 20. Well, he's going to be 28 this year. He's got what, 4 years, 3 or 4 years. So, and he hasn't been scoring as many league goals, has he? So what? That's 30. That's 100 goals. You're talking 25 a season. So it's pushing it a bit. I mean, if he goes on with his 33, it's doable, but he's got to keep fit, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, if he has those trouble with his ankles and that, he's missed a lot of time, hasn't he? Recently, the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, he's missed quite a few games. So factor that in. I don't know. You can't. No one can legislate for it. I mean, the Shearer record looks even more brilliant, doesn't it? You compare with Harry Kane's 100 away from him,
yeah,
and what the goals that he's got. But I think Harry Kane's is just getting better and better. To be honest with you, I think he seems he's like whiskey or wine. He's just getting better, maturing, and he's lethal, isn't he? You know, he doesn't even get a chance of looking between those goals, does he? Now, and no one lets him in with to have a shot away. So yeah, he's certainly one for the one off.
You do have some great sayings, Dave. He's like whiskey and wine.
Whiskey, well, he is. He's a special brew. He is.
The amount of comments that I've picked you up on is unbelievable. Dave, another question here from Sean. Ask Dave what he thinks of Gazza. Yeah,
love Gazza. Fantastic. He actually, if you ask me, I think he won us the 91 FA Cup final, FA Cup, because he got us by the scruff of her neck through a lot of those rounds, especially down at Portsmouth. I went to that game down at Portsmouth, and I think it was a 6-round game for the semi-final, and he had a blinder. I know everyone talks about the goal he scored against Arsenal in the semi-final, but that game, I always remember that game down at Portsmouth when he scored 2 goals, and they were absolutely typical Gazza goals. They were just brilliant. He ran them with the ball. He could dribble a bit and finishing, and they were goals out of nothing. And I think that's what Gazza brought. You know, you weren't expecting him to score, or anyone to score, and he did it. And even when he was in the mood, he had to be in that particular mood, and yeah, he was unplayable really. So he won us that 91 cup final. I know he got injured in that game, but he got us there. Don't know where. So I've always got fond memories of Gazza, and I always will have.
He's actually one of the reasons why I support Spurs, Dave, Gazza, and I remember that free kick. That free kick is one of my earliest memories of supporting Spurs. That free kick against Arsenal in a semi-final, that was just simply incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, because we weren't expecting that. I went to that game, and I think we were down the other end to that. From all the Spurs fans were down, who were behind behind him, if you like. So we watched, could see it go in from that angle. You know, we weren't behind the goal. We was looking in his position, and it was just, he had no right to score that goal. But don't forget, Arsenal won the league that year, and I think they had lost. I think they lost 1 game all season to Chelsea. I think that was the only league game they'd lost, and they were odds-on favourites. Really odds-on favourites to win. A bit like the City game, I suppose, if you like. Plus, we'll have a Gareth Bale free kick to win, to get us a goal there.
I can't believe that is the last time we won the FA Cup.
Yeah, 91. It doesn't seem possible. We were talking about 14 years. This is 30 years.
Unbelievable.
Far too long. And we were we won it the most times back then when we won it that time, and now everyone's overtaken us.
Yeah,
especially that lot up the roads, won it more times, you know, than anyone. And who'd have thought?
Mention that, Dave.
Hmm?
You didn't need to mention that. Well, let's get on to a question here from Norway.
Let's get on to better things.
Who's the best Norwegian player that's ever played for Tottenham?
I like Erik Thorstvedt. I think the goalkeeper. I liked him. I thought he was a very competent goalkeeper. I really did. I think I liked him a lot. Underrated. He played in the cup final. So yeah, I like Erik Thorstvedt. I think he was the best player. You go on with that, Chris?
Do you know, I've met Erik Thorstvedt a couple of times, and he's one of the nicest people you will ever meet. He would stand there, he would chat, he would talk about Spurs. Such a nice guy. Yeah, real nice guy, and a great goalkeeper as well. Yeah,
yeah.
Dave, what's your favourite away ground in the UK?
Favourite away ground.
Yeah, where do you look forward to going most when you see those away fixtures coming up?
I quite like Craven Cottage. If you want my
old school.
Yeah, I like Craven. It's an old ground and hasn't changed over the years. They put seating in, obviously, but it's still down by the Thames. It's still, you know, it is. It hasn't really. I know they're building. It looks like they're building a new. From what I can see on the TV, they're building another stand on by the in back, you know, on the riverside. But you know, when I went down a few times, they used to have the boat race. When the boat race was big in those days, you know, everyone used Oxford or Cambridge. But we had the boat race going by when you could stand on the riverside and actually watch them go by. You know, so I think Craven Cottage is my favourite one, and I did do some little research for you because my first away game I can recall going to was February '65, and this has surprised you. This result at Tottenham at Fulham, we lost 4-1. 4-1 to Fulham in February '65, and that was my first away game. So, and it's my favourite away ground. So, and I looked at the three other games. We lost two other games, two other London games. I think to Chelsea and Arsenal. We lost 1-0 at Chelsea and 3-1 Arsenal. So nothing's changed really over the whole since '65. Yeah. So. What was I then? Coming up 14. I don't know if I mean I remember going up to Everton in '65, 65-66 season on the train, playing about 10 or 6, going up from Euston. I find my own way from you got to the station and then you got on the bus. You got on the football bus and it would take you around to the ground and you went in. And you wouldn't get many 14-year-olds going on their own to an away game up at Liverpool these days. I don't know if the mums would let them go.
No,
but you did what you did, didn't you? It's now
David, another question for you here. What Spurs team has excited you the most?
Well. It's got to be. Let's have a look. That I think it's got to go back to that '81 final again. I mean that was so exciting that match and that team. I'd say that team excited me the most. I must admit. And I'd say second to the UEFA Cup final of '84 when we drew 1-1. And Tony Parks pulled off that penalty save as well. Graham Roberts getting that late equaliser, and so that was very, very exciting for that team. You know, we haven't mentioned Robbo, but I mean, he really, he was like the Dave Mackay man of the way he bulldozed his way, and that was sheer guts and determination. You know, the stuff that we were missing the other night. Some of you will run through a brick wall for Spurs. You know, and I think we're missing. That's the sort of person we're missing. We're missing leaders. We're missing someone. I mean, I think they've said, or other people have mentioned, oh, why have we got a goalkeeper as a captain? And I'll go along with that to a certain extent. Nothing against Hugo, but I think it should be an outfield player, and I think it should be someone in the defence and someone who you know, who can galvanise teams and galvanise the players. And Dave Mackay would never put up with all this stuff that's been going on in the team recently. And someone's put Billy Bremner. I remember, you know, there's that famous picture when Dave Mackay's grabbing hold. You must have seen that picture, Chris, when he's grabbing hold of Billy Bremner.
Paul's asking for a date. Do you remember Dave Mackay picking up Billy Bremner when playing Leeds Lane?
I do remember it. It's got to be. I mean, I can't remember the exact date, but I think it's 66, 67, something like that. I would say, off the top of my head. Yeah. But to me, Leeds were top team, and they got two Scottish players there going for it. And really, that. It's almost as famous that one with Gazza grabbing that bloke's balls, isn't it? That picture. Don't you think, Chris? You remember that one with the Wimbledon bloke, isn't it? I can't remember.
Vinnie Jones.
But those two pictures, you know, they epitomise. You know, you wonder why you sports Spurs, but those sort of images and things, you know. I mean, we haven't had much to smile about lately, but you know, those sort of things do bring a smile to your face, don't they?
Dave, Mark writes Jennings or Clements?
Got to be Pat Jennings. Ray Clements, fantastic goalkeeper, but for me, Pat Jennings is the number one of all time. Anybody who's seen him, and you know. I think most Spurs fans would agree. I mean, Ray Clements was obviously a lot better for Liverpool. I mean, the defence he had in front of him. Yeah, he done a fantastic job for us.
I love this question.
What's this, the
Andy
best
Lucas,
pie?
right. Big question for Dave. Best pie?
Well, I mean, I did have a lovely pie up at Old Trafford recently, so
we need more questions like that.
I like the old steak kidney pie, as you probably gathered. Yeah.
Dave, best European away ground that you've been to?
Well, I haven't been to that many, as many as you, Chris. But I think the best away ground is Barcelona. I think. I know it's an older stadium, but from the ones I've been to, I like that. It's so enormous, and you seem to walk for miles to get up to the top. We were right up in the gods for that. Yeah. That Champions League match. We were all standing up there waiting for the PS3 Inter Milan result, if you remember, Chris, all standing there for 5 minutes waiting for that result to come in up in the gods there. But for the away games, it's holds 99,000. I mean, it was only 65,000, I think, that day in my recall. But I mean, what a fantastic stadium that is! And it's an old-fashioned one, but it really was a lovely ground and. What with a trophy, we went round it this morning. I quite like Dortmund's ground as well. That one we went to. Yeah, so it is interesting going to these away grounds.
Do you remember at the New Camp, Dave, when that bar just outside or right next to the stadium, and when we went up to the bar and they said, "What would you like?" and we said, "A couple of beers, please," and they said, small or large, and I said large, please, and the size of those glasses.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a few good times, haven't we, with in the away games, haven't we?
Yeah.
I know we're missing them, but
what have you missed most, Dave, about not going to the football in the last 12 months?
Well, just meeting up with yourself and other people, you know, and the camaraderie and the banter, really. Yeah. I've missed, obviously, seeing the games live, because it's all right watching it on the TV, but you can't see yourself watching it through a keyhole. You're just seeing a little bit. You can't see the movement of the ball, because the TV camera is only full of the ball round. You can't actually watch a player and what the other players are doing. Yeah, I do miss the banter and the chats we used to have, and you know, the stuff and what people used to think, and yeah, it's not a substitute watching. I mean, it's better than nothing, obviously, and you're watching the game, and it's better than listening on a radio. But if you watch Spurs enough times and you listen to it on the radio, you can visualise it anyway. Because you know what the players are like.
Yeah. Dave, question here for you: Keith Birkinshaw, David Pleat, or Terry Venables?
Keith Birkinshaw, I like. I really think he's a very honest man. He came in. He was underrated. He came in the Terry. He was part of Terry Neal's bloody in 74, 75, and. He came in, and Terry Neal mucked it up, and Keith got the job. And unfortunately, we weren't in a good place, but we went down. But they stayed with him, and he brought us back up. And of course, he got the coup with Ardiles and Villa. So, and we went on to win the trophies with the 2 FA Cups and the UEFA Cup. So. For me, that is the man. I think Keith Birkinshaw second only to Bill Nicholson.
Dave, Paul writes here: do you remember Johnny Pratt scoring from a corner?
I don't remember. I mean, I remember. I don't obviously remember John Pratt, but he never scored many goals. I can't remember him scoring. Perhaps he did. I can't remember that one off the top of my head.
That's the first time I've known you to be stumped by a question.
It is because I can't. John Pratt doesn't score. He never scored many goals, and he's probably before your time, Chris. Yeah, but he never scored many goals, and really he was more of what they used to call in the old days a utility player, and we used to hate that tag. Like with Terry Naylor, and that is what they used to call. He used to fill in, yeah. I mean, sounds good to me if he scored from a corner, but I can't remember. If someone wants to remind me,
Paul said it's against Southampton.
Yeah, still would not ringing any bells. Paul
also writes: do you remember his song? No.
No, don't remember John Pratt.
You've stumped him.
Yeah, you have. I do like John Pratt, but
what about this one, Dave? Dean writes: Beth Glenn Hoddle goal. There are a few greats, weren't there?
There are a few ones, and I think there's that one against Man United where he really got it, where he got hold of the ball, and it was a first time screamer. It was by the on the west hand side in the Park Lane. He did a lovely a screamer that went in. Fantastic goal, and of course, you know, he finished off his career. I mean, so many lovely goals from free kicks from Glenn down the years. Absolutely. That's my favourite one of his, I think.
Dave, there's a super chat here from Paul. Paul, thank you very much. So Paul has officially bought you a drink tonight, Dave.
Oh, thank you, Paul.
He says, "Happy birthday, Dave. Did you ever see John White?"
I did see John White, yeah, in the 60s, early 60s. Tragic for him, but how he met his end. But what a beautiful player he really was. And I mean, they bought Venables, Terry Venables, in to take his place, but he never did. He never filled his boots because he had the vision. He was he never scored many goals, but he used to unlock the defences. So yeah, what a player he was. He fundamentally, you know, he's crucial member of the double team, and you know, that team sort of picked itself, if you like. It only changed when you know, when he got the 60, 61, 62, and they got Jimmy Greaves in you know, December of 61. So, and Les Allen, you know, finished, and they got Jimmy Greaves in to score the goals. So, yeah, it was just the beginning of when that 61, the double team was broken up with Danny Blanchflower retiring, and yeah, it's a bit sad. Bill Brown, not being such a good goalkeeper. That team sort of, you know, poor old John White dying in that freak accident on the golf course. No one could believe it. It was one of those things that no one really. It didn't, you know, it never sunk in. It was such a random moment, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, sad, very sad.
Dave, you mentioned Les Allen there. Who was the best Allen in the family to play for Spurs?
Yeah, Clive. I think it's got to be Clive with those. You know, with that year with when he got 49 goals. Absolutely fantastic. You know, why he couldn't get a 50th goal? We was all rooting for him, and really, we thought we were going to win the cup that year. 2-1 up. 2-1 up. Clive Allen in your team. I thought it was nailed on. Really did. I couldn't believe that they got 2-1. Then Coventry were a nothing team. Nothing team. Coventry never won anything. You know, we were odds on favourites to win that game, and yeah, it's.
Dave, we've been talking all night about your favourites and the best ones, but Graham asks, worst ever Spurs player.
Yeah, well, there's probably a few candidates for that.
I'll sit back.
You're talking about the current team, or? Yeah. Well, I haven't actually done any research on the worst players, because there's probably been a few that only played a few times for Spurs, but I don't think we had that many terrible players. I'm just trying to rack my brains for players I probably didn't like. I mean, there weren't that many, to be honest with you. I mean, poor old Barry Daines, he was back up to Pat Jennings for many years. I mean, not saying he was the worst player, but he was back up, and poor old, he didn't get many games, and I feel sorry for him. And there's quite a few players of the current crop that haven't been so good for us. I mean, I don't know if you want me to name names, but
up to you, Dave.
It's a bit bad, really, because there's not really anybody I've really sort of, you know, if you're supporting a team, there's not that many players that you think, oh, I wish he didn't play for Spurs. To be honest with you, it hasn't really crossed my mind.
Yeah,
is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, there's players I'd like to see out the door now, but I mean, I've discussed it with you, Chris, a few times. you know, who the Deadwood is at the moment. I mean, I think Dockley's been a very bad signing this year, to be honest with you. He's not the player we thought he was. I mean,
here we go. Dave's giving names now.
But he is. I mean, we thought Sissoko was what will be done there for first 2 years, and then suddenly he came to life. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Try picking up on people on players. Yeah, I'll have to have more thought on that one.
Yeah, Dave. Philip writes, where did you sit or stand at the old ground?
I was in the lower shelf at the East Stand. I always used to go to the. I seem to prefer the East Stand lower, not sometimes in the shelf, but mainly lower shelf. You know, on the just behind the where you went up to the top of the stairs and down and found a crash barrier on the halfway line mainly. I mean, in those days, the seats behind the goals were empty because they were, you know, to pay extra for the seats. And I always liked the atmosphere, and I felt nearer to the players on the halfway line there. That's where I normally went to. Mainly, that's where I headed, really, I suppose. And you saw the same people were there at most games. Everyone sort of went to the same part of the ground. It was part of the ritual. You ended up going to the same part of the ground because I think a lot of people in them days used to think you saw a different game. If you went round somewhere else, you saw a different game. A lot of fans used to go behind the goal, and then at half time in those days you could walk round and go behind the other goal.
Yeah.
There wasn't any of this segregation either. So and I used to quite like talking to the away fans and asking them what their team was like and who their players were, because I used to watch them. I used to watch them every week, and I used to quite like talking to the away fans, but all that got taken away with you know, when we used to have all the punch ups and things, and it didn't, you know, there were all the skinheads and the bomber boots and stuff, you know. You weren't really in the time when you weren't really, they weren't up for talking in them days. They were more like giving you a kicking, but so you try and avoid them. But yeah, it's part and parcel. People used to say about the game. Well, I never felt frightened in the ground. I mean, I went to Anfield, I've been to games, and I've never ever felt frightened in I've been crushed in the ground. But I think people worry too much these days. You know, they don't know what it's like. So, you know, they go into a tube train, they're all like bloody sardines. From that point of view, I think they worry too much. But what with health and safety, I mean, some of the stuff we used to get away with in them days, I mean, I don't know what they think of. But
Dave, Hyper Fan Television writes here, happy birthday, Don Dave. Don Dave, I love it. Don Dave. Woolen Wood writes here, any news on Kane? And that is a super chat as well. So Woolen Woods has officially bought Dave a pint for his 70th birthday. Dave, you're going to be having a few pints at this rate.
Well, it looks like it. I mean, fame has come late in life, I must admit, Chris. And bumping into you when we did in the car park that day, when you was interviewing Alan Murray, and you had a look of thunder on your face. How dare you ask Alan Murray a question when I'm interviewing him? And
actually, we've got to talk about this. That was such a funny moment at the Amex Stadium. I'm there with Alan Mullery, of course. You know, Brighton legend, Tottenham legend, and I said, Alan, have you got a few minutes? And he said, yeah, of course. You know, because I've spoken to him many times at Wembley Stadium and, of course, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well. And there I was, a couple of minutes in, asking him questions about the game. Who do you think is going to win? Brighton, Spurs, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, this guy just bowls in and starts talking to Alan Mallory whilst on camera. In my interview, and of course it was Dave. That's exactly how we met.
Yeah. How rude he was. And then you interviewed me after that, didn't you?
Yeah. And then the weirdest thing is you said to me, where are you sitting in the ground? I pulled my ticket out, you pulled your ticket out, and where were we?
We were one seat away from each other.
Unbelievable.
3,000 away fans.
Yeah.
One seat. So it was written in the stars, wasn't it?
I don't know about that. Dave, talking about stadiums, what do you think of the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Because of course, all these years you've supported Spurs going to White Hart Lane. What do you think about the new ground? Do you like it?
Yeah, I do. I like it. I don't love it. I like it. It's one for the future, really. I think they've done a fantastic job on it, and to get 60,000 in the ground, you're never going to get 60,000 in the old ground. I mean, it's twice, the new ground is twice as big. They've made it a venue for all things, because you've got your retractable pitch and everything. So it's one for the future. I mean, it has got a good feel for it. I've been obviously been for one season. I think it worked it out that from April 19 or whatever it was, April 19 to March 20, it constitutes nearly a season. So I'm mainly in the West End. The trouble is with these days is you can't move around the ground, although I did manage to do one of those 2,000 fans against Antwerp. So, and I sat in the South Stand. I know there's only 1,000 fans in there, but I think it had a good feel for ordinary fans in that big South Stand. So I think they've done a good job. Definitely, they've done a good job. But it's nice to be lower with the atmosphere. So I like it. I think it's as good as we're going to get, and I think it's you can move around. If you look around the outside of the ground and the bars and the food things, it's catering for a large crowd, and I think they've done a fantastic job on it. You're never going to get back to the old days, and I think they've done as good a job as they could do. I honestly do.
Dave, I want to know when you're doing the Skywalk.
I don't know yet. It's off at the moment, isn't it? But are you going to come with me this time?
It was bad enough me doing it the first time. I don't know about doing it again.
Yeah, I might go. I might do it.
I think you need to go up there. I think you do.
Do I want to go up there?
You definitely do. You definitely do.
Maybe.
There's a super chat coming from Byron now. Officially bought you a pint today, Dave, from America. We've had lots of people all around the world tonight. So thank you so much for tuning in. Happy birthday, Dave. Best wishes from America.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Byron. I appreciate it. Cheers.
Dave, talking about the stadium, I can't ever talk about the stadium without someone mentioning panels. Panels Day. What do you think?
Panels.
What do you think of panels day?
I do love the panels, and I loved all your videos talking about the panels. And until I saw her in the flesh, I couldn't believe it. It was brilliant. The first time we went and I saw the panels. But I mean, you lived and died in there for what, a year, 2 years. With that stadium, with the updates, and full marks to you. I mean, I don't think anybody else. I've never met anybody else. They thought I was Spurs man, but you've taken it to another level.
It's an obsession. People think I'm crazy.
I do remember someone's putting on there Crooks and Archibald. Yeah, we do. I do remember Archie, and I do remember Crooks. Lovely double act. You know, run in the finals, going up to the early 80s, and we bumped into Steve Archibald in Barcelona, if you remember, Chris.
Yeah.
On the stage there. I think he knocked over one of my pints, or nearly fell off the stage. I can't remember which way round it was, but we went up there and had a chat with him. He was on the stage there, wasn't he? We were all queuing up to get autographs or whatever we were doing, having a chat with him. I think I've got a picture with him. I'll have to dig that out, Chris, for you. Me and Archie. Because you were there, or had you gone missing? I can't remember. But,
no, I was there. I think I was talking to Mickey Hazard, actually.
Oh, I think you were, yeah.
While you were at the bar having another pint, Dave.
That's right, yeah. Well, I know I nearly tripped up again. We haven't gone into the Eindhoven day, have we? Talking about that. That first away trip we went on that Eindhoven trip when I leant against that, and we went and I leant against that stand. I leant against the stand, and the bloody stand just went. It was one of them floppy things. I went down. I'll
tell you what. If any of the viewers have ever seen that Only Fools and Horses moment.
Yeah, that one with the bar, with the back wing, with the bar, with the thing going up. Well, Chris and the others were in the restaurant, because I picked this restaurant. I'll choose to pick in the restaurant because I like a steak. And I went outside the ring the wife up, and on there. I mean, I'd had a few in the Eindhoven ground, and then, because we went and had a look up earlier, and then we were down the town, and then looking out, finding a restaurant, and then I went out to find the ring up, and then of course I'm leaning. I'd had another half a bottle of wine or something, and then of course I'm leaning on it, and then I just went. I was on the floor. And me just above my eye it was terrible, and then there's people walking by asking how I was, and it was terrible. And I managed to get up, and then I don't know if you'd have come out or I'd sort of staggered in, and then we had the waitress. We had the waitress dressing me up, didn't she? With the with the paper, with the sticky stuff and the thing and that. And of course, you know, when I got home, I didn't say anything about it. And of course, in the morning, of course, I had a black eye as big as anything. Of course, and then I had to explain what had happened.
That waitress really did look after you. I think we needed to tip her, a lot more money. One experience that I thought was fantastic, though, Dave, was the Heineken experience, just near the Ajax ground.
Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah, I know, because that's a recent. When I went to Amsterdam before, it weren't there, and it was really interesting. That was with the Heineken and the beers at the when we had the beer at the end there, and all the old-fashioned bottles and the way they brewed it from 1874 or something, and it was and the old Olsen cart and the old barrels. It was really interesting. I thought until we got to the end, and then we found all them bottles, and well, you were in that place, weren't you, with all those. Well, what was it? Like a special, like a room, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it like a room with? You probably got some pictures of that.
Somewhere, Dave. Awesome videos, yeah.
Yeah.
Noel writes, we should be the new Saint and Greavesy, Dave.
Greavesy, on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, because we can talk forever.
Well, this is normally a very serious channel, and a lot of people would say that.
I don't know.
As soon as you come on this channel, Dave, it relaxes me, I think.
Is that what it is? Because old Noel there, he's given me quite a few heads up. He's given me quite a few thumbs up.
Well, Andy writes here, wouldn't want to pay for your bill once you two are let loose.
Yeah.
The bill is certainly high when you're involved, Dave.
I don't know if I'm easily led or you're easily led, but we lead each other up the garden path. I know.
Yeah. Oh, yes, Chris, you should do something with the Don Dave, in my opinion. The Don Dave. I love that.
Don Dave. Yeah, that's going to stick. I'm going to
call you that from now on. The Don Dave.
Is that going to stick? I don't know. Yeah, but how many finals did I boat? There 7 finals. I mean, seen 3 winnings, 3 winnings. Yeah.
Dave, we're now gone for over 90 minutes. We're now in stoppage time.
Oh right, so we're in injury time now.
Final question for you. Will Tottenham reach the top 4 this season, and will we win the League Cup final?
Hand on heart.
Hand on heart, yeah.
Yeah, hand on heart. I think we win the League Cup and perhaps miss out on top 4. That's my realistic view. I'd like that both, but I think we'll get one or the other. I think League Cup is more doable than top 4. Really, realistically, but we can win a trophy. I think we'll be in the Europa League again next year, to be honest with you.
Dave Paul has put in another super chat here, so he's bought you another pint. He obviously knows that you like a pint. 25th of August, 1993, Anfield. Do you remember?
Was that the Gulf Crook? Was that when we won after 60 years? I think it was. That was the. Was that the game when we hadn't won since the Titanic went down? No, that was 80. That was in the 80s. 93. Yeah, you got me there. I think. If it wasn't that game, I can't remember that one, not off the top of my head, not 93.
That is one ground, though, that we don't normally do that well at.
No, we don't. Was that an odd win? It might have been. I know we won after 60 years in 85, I think it was. So perhaps we won there again after another 6 years. I know we won, 2 or 3 times in a place of perhaps 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
From memory. But it's not happy. I've been there. Well, obviously, I'd been there 3 times. I hadn't seen Spurs score a goal. I said to you about that 7-0. 0-0. I saw an FA Cup. 6th round tie in 71, I think it was. Yeah, 71. Philip Bill had the man of the match. We drew 0-0. I was in the paddock. at Anfield on the halfway line, and then behind me there was Bill Nicholson sitting there and Bill Shankly sitting beside each other, and you could see him as plain as day. You know, his red tie on as normal Wall Shanks, and we drew 0-0. I thought we had a fantastic game. Took them back to Spurs, and then we ended up losing 1-0. Steve Highway. It was such a heartbreak that was, because going up to Anfield and then losing at home in that FA Cup six round replay, and so that was no goals at Anfield. And then I went up a few years ago we had a League Cup game up there. I went up with me son-in-law, and we lost 2-1 in a League Cup game. I think that there was a bloke who scored, who played one of his only games, a forward. it made me lose me. He only played one game of 1 or 2 games for Spurs. He played in that game because they changed it round, and we I think we even took the lead in that game. I think it might have been a penalty. Might be one of Jansen's penalties, but then we lost 2-1. But recently, I've seen a 2-2, but I've never seen Spurs win there. And I think they need 2 penalties to get a draw. So it's never going to be a happy hunting ground. A bit like Old Trafford, really.
That game, Dave, that Paul's on about, the 25th of August '93, Spurs did win in the Premier League 2-1. Nigel Clough put Liverpool 1-0 up after 18 minutes. Of course, he'd only just signed from Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
And Teddy Sheringham scored in the 30th minute from the penalty spot and then scored again just before half-time. The Tottenham starting 11 that day was Eric Torsvet in goal, Sol Campbell, Dean Austin, Gary Mabbott, Steve Sedgley, Colin Coldwood, Jason Dazelle, Vinnie Samways, David Howes, Gordon Jury and Teddy Sheringham.
Really? Oh, well. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Well, I mean, they are few and far between wins up at Anfield, so I think we've only won there 6 times ever. I think from memory. So
yeah. Dave, just before we go, tell everyone how you've been celebrating your 70th birthday and what Spurs gifts did you get from the family and friends?
Well, I did get a personalised number plate on my car, and the first 2 letters are TH.
Yeah,
I got 2H15 for me.
You better not give your number plate away, Dave.
I won't give it all, but it's got TH to start off with.
Yeah,
and yeah, it was a lockdown one, as you know. On the Monday, everyone was deflated after that disaster on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
We were going to do this then, but obviously no one felt in the mood for it. So we did it. We're doing it now. So I had a Zoom chat in the evening. We had I've got loads of Spurs. I mean, I've got quite a few bottles of whiskey, I must admit, and you sent me some drinks, didn't you, Chris? So that was nice of you. And I've got.
We all know you like a drink, Dave.
And I mean, I've got a few Spurs things which I'll hang up. They're still downstairs, actually, on my fireplace, and the cards are still up. They'll have to come down soon. There'll be no down there over a week. So. Yeah, I've got a few. I mean, I've got a lovely Spurs cake, which I think I sent you a picture, Chris, didn't I?
Did, yeah.
They're beautiful Tottenham cake, which I think I've only got a couple of little slices left of it. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful cake. With THFC.
Must be in the post.
Well, yeah, it is in the post. I've saved you a bit, actually. That's a good point, actually. Does it travel well in the post, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, remind
actually,
me.
I could probably do without the cake, actually.
You sure?
Yeah, you have it. You have it. Fill more of that shirt out.
Yeah. You got me thinking now. Perhaps I will send you some.
No, it's a joke, David. It was a joke. It was a joke. Yeah.
But it's been good. No, I did have a good birthday in the end. It was good. It went quick, and so.
Well, Nicholas writes nice comments about the miserable one, Dave, and Hyperfans Television writes again. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Don Dave.
Dave.
So, Dave, we will end it there. I can't thank you enough for this chat. It's been wonderful.
That's all right.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoy your weekend. And hopefully Tottenham will reward your 70th birthday with a trophy in a month's time, Dave.
The year ends in one. I was hoping for a quadruple, but you know, the league championship, we blew that. And then the FA Cup, wasn't it, with Everton? And well, we know what happened this week or the other week, and there's only one left, last one standing. So it'd be nice to win something in me, you know, with the year ending in one on my 70th year. So. Yeah.
Well, I've got to read this message out. 10th circles here, 6 a.m. in Australia, watching Don, Dave, and Chris. Well done, lads.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, cheers. Cheers, everyone. Thank you for watching, and come on, you Spurs.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone's comments and the super chats as well. I'll make sure that that is converted into to beer tokens or bottles of wine for Dave to enjoy in the future. Dave, thank you very much, and come on, you Spurs.
No problem. Come on, Tom. Let's have a go.